Next, we're going to be working on some fuel system stuff. So first thing I want to do is get the intake on. You got an 8AN fitting here, a 6AN fitting here, because this stuff was capped before. Or no, this wasn't capped before. It came all the way around under the engine to the other side. So I'm going to make sure that there's 8s on both sides. I usually come in the back of the driver's side, cross over, and then go back here out to the regulator. Just kind of brainstorming now where I want to put the regulator. So that's kind of been a little bit tricky because I think he wants to use that big catch can, which would occupy that space back there if it'll even fit. So trying to think of where I want to put the regulator, and I'll come back in like 300 years when I figure that out. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is put the regulator right on this tower, just like I did on the Banana Mustang. And I did actually install my first riv nut here, so I didn't do that on camera. It's one of my first time to be special. Crank that bad boy down, and that actually works really nice. I'm impressed by that. So then I just have a M8 125 bolt, like one of the engine bolts on there. That works pretty good. I actually don't like how high up it is, so I'm going to flip the bracket. I'm going to take these bolts out, flip the bracket, still bolt it on, and that'll bring the regulator down a little bit. Okay, so I got that figured out. I was thinking how I was going to come in the backside here and then come around. But I know a guy who actually built a Gen 3 5.3 Mustang, kind of similar to this, and it was yellow. And he did the fuel system a little bit differently, and it seemed like it worked well on that. And this is a pretty similar setup with similar goals, so I think I'm just going to do that. So on my Mustang, my yellow Mustang that I had, I came in just like this with the regulator here, and I came up this way with the line through the regulator into the front of the passenger side rail, crossed over in the back, and it was actually deadheaded at the front on the driver's side. And I totally forgot that I did it that way. I thought I did it differently, but I went back and I looked at the videos to figure out how I did it. And I did it that way, and that car went 880 at 149 and 90 at 153 with the Gen 3 bottom end and 1500 injectors, like pretty much similar setup to this one. This car's going to be heavier than that one was, but the power goals are in that same range, and that seemed like it did fine. I also got some 8AN and 6AN line. This was sent over by Hunter at Hunter Tuned. The owner also wanted to go with new Hunter Tuned injectors. He has Deca 80s in there right now, but he's going with the Hunter Tuned 1500s. And Hunter sent over this spec sheet, everything from his flow testing. So there's a website, huntertuned.com. Go check them out. And I'm going to get these things fitted up in the intake, and then I'll start making the lines. All right, well, I had a bunch recorded explaining what I wanted to do with this fuel setup, but I think I'm going to do it differently now. I was going to do it the same way I had it in the Mustang, the yellow Mustang, the Banana. Kind of thinking about that one because I forgot I did it that way with I had the supply coming in through the regulator here, coming in this rail across the back, and then up here, and then capped at the front. And that seemed like it did well, but I started thinking about it. So I decided to go back and look at my old logs from the Mustang when I went 880 and 91, and like looking at the data log video that I did from those. And it looked like it was actually dropping off fuel pressure. And that had a 4303 on it. So a pretty decent sized pump. Air fuel ratio was okay, but it looked like when it would make 10 pounds, it looked like it was rising 1-to-1, but once it got to 25 pounds, it wasn't rising 1-to-1. So 25 pounds of boost, it was only increasing about 15 psi fuel pressure. So I don't know if that's related to it being deadheaded the way that it was. I feel like that setup would probably still be fine, but I'm going to switch it, and I'm going to do it the same way I did it on the truck. I'm going to come in the backside, cross over here, and then come out the back, just so you got good fuel flow all the way through it. With the deadheaded setup like that, there are some concerns with like heat and stuff, warming up the fuel. So I'm just going to do it that way, revert to my original plan, set it up the same way that I have the Ranger done, and that should work. I was originally going to come out here and come over this way with like a 120 fitting coming back this way, but then you got the line coming over the top of the oil cap. This crossover here on the front also has it coming right over the top of the IAT bung, so I'm going to take that thing out. I'm going to put the IAT bung in the charge pipe, and then we'll cross over the line on the top. And it'll work. It'll be fun. Both setups probably would have been fine. This one will be a little bit better. So let's do that and get this thing done. Okay, well, I got this first line done, and that's kind of how easy it is to make it not look that great. It's kind of hooped up really high. I'll show you what I want it to look like. I want it to be kind of flat across the intake here. I want it to look more like this. But I do like to cut them a little bit long, just in case I have to trim them. I'd rather cut it a little long and retrim it than cut it too short and then I lose this whole section and I can't use it for anything. So I'll cut, I measured it already. I have to cut like the width of my fingernail off of the line and then it should be good. But a lot of the longer lines and stuff don't really matter that much. Like if you leave it an extra 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch long, it's not gonna matter too much. But just this little tiny bit of space here is enough to make it stand up weird. All right, so I got the front line done. I like how that turned out. See how it goes right over the top of where that IAT sensor was, so it would have kind of been in the way. It'll be better to have the IAT bung in the charge pipe anyways instead of inside the intake. And another thing I found out is this throttle cable doesn't even fit to the bracket now because I moved the engine forward a little bit, so that thing must have been snug in there because I can't even get it to where it would fit in the bracket now, which is fine because this had a lot of slack in it anyways. So I'll just end up modifying the bracket or move the bracket back, make a new bracket, whatever I got to do to make this thing work. So that should be fine. The cable does clear underneath the fuel line, so no issues there. Next I'm going to be coming over and I'm going to be making this line here that goes to the regulator. So it's just going to be a little bend that goes from here to here. Then I'll have the main line come up here in the back. It'll cross over, go out the back of the passenger rail into the regulator. And then we'll run a 6AN back. Alright, so I'll kind of show you my process for making one line. I'm not going to show making all the lines because it'll probably get too long and way repetitive. So I have one fitting right here. I have one fitting right here. And I'm just going to kind of mock up the end down to the fitting here. And what I usually do is mark where I want to put it. I should say mark where I want to cut it with like my fingernail. And then I'll put a piece of masking tape around it with the where I want to cut it in the center of the masking tape. And then verify it's kind of where I want. That should be okay. And then I like to use a bandsaw. You can use like a cutter. I don't like the cutter because it pinches the line when it cuts. And I don't really like the grinder because it makes a lot of dust. I got the line done. You can see there's a little bit of junk inside there. So then I'll kind of take the ends, just try to tap some of the junk out of there. Then I usually just leave the tape on. Just one thin layer of masking tape. It holds all the threads in there real nice. And you can just take it and push it on. And some of this stuff actually works pretty well where you can just get it all the way on by hand, twisting it. So now that's fully seated in there. One thing to note too is how deep those threads are in where the hose bottoms out. So here's a 10AN fitting, and you can see how deep the threads are. So those threads are actually probably this deep to where my fingernail is. So when you're measuring the hose, don't measure it all the way to the end. Measure it from like right here. That's where it can be easy to make the lines too long. Because if you measure the hose end to end like this, you're gonna have, you know, probably 3/8 of an inch on each side that doesn't go into the fitting. Here's another one here. We'll jam it on. Twist it, get the threads started. Yeah, there you go. That one actually went on pretty easy. These are going together pretty well. Sometimes they're really tough to get in. But these are actually working pretty decent. I'll put it in the clamp. Spray a little lubricant in there. And this is going to be the fitting for the regulator side. Let's get it tight by hand. That's tight. One thing you can do too is like make sure that they're flush with the top or a little bit below. So when you come around with the wrench, it doesn't actually scuff the top. These fittings are already pretty beat up because we're reusing them. And it looked like just a regular vise was used before. If you don't have one of these blocks, they're not that expensive. Like the AN vise block, they're not that expensive. But what I used to do, before I had this block, I would wrap a rag around it. If I did have to pinch it in the vise to at least protect it, then you don't get the, like all these vise block marks in it. So you can just wrap it up, protect it, it's a little better. I'm gonna film this part a second time because I'm an idiot and didn't record it. All right guys, this is the very first time that I'm gonna try to test fit this. So we have the regulator end, put this on. Get that snug here. And we'll bring this end over to here to the rail. Get that twisted on. Then we can check the fit. So you can see that it actually has a nice swoop in it. It's not hitting anything. And you can see where it's actually not as critical if it's a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch off here, because you got a little bit of wiggle room, but on a short line it matters a little bit more. This should be okay. We got clearance for the heater lines. We got room for the catch can. So that should be okay. Next I just gotta figure out where I wanna run the feed line in the return. If I wanna go outside this hole or inside the rail here. I'm gonna go under the car first and figure out where I wanna do it. I might try to get it inside the rail there. I just wanna make sure I have enough clearance around the exhaust. We'll find a good spot to route these lines. All right, do a little update quick. So got this regulator line done. I got the other main feed done. What I'm gonna do is I have one of those little clamp fittings holding the two lines together. I'm gonna position the lines kind of up in this position here. Then it's gonna go down on the inside of the rail. It's gonna come down along the inside here and then along the inside of the support here. So kind of something like this along in here. Just have a zip tie temporary holding it up. Might do some kind of notching for the subframe connector support for the seat bracket. I would like this so it's not hanging lower than the seat bracket, but we'll go back here. I'd like to put the filter somewhere in this area and then flex fuel sensor somewhere up in here. And the rest of the lines should be able to come down and then wrap up and follow the frame up this way. And then kind of back around to where the tank's going to be. So I think what I'll do is probably mock that up without filming much because it's kind of hard to film underneath the car like that. One thing I want to be aware of is raising and lowering the tank with the lines connected, because the way that the hat sits in there, you can't really get to the fittings. So I want to be able to come off the hat and either one, make sure I have enough slack so I can lower the tank down to get to the fittings, or I want to have like a separate removable section that's outside, which could be the filter and flex fuel sensor connections. So I just want to be mindful of that stuff as I'm putting it together. I did do a little work on this hat. I hooked everything up as is, and one of the pumps actually didn't work. So the pump works, but it wasn't plugged in right. So it does have the 3 plugs, and this is actually made for like 3 255 size pumps or something like that. 2 of the holes were actually machined out to fit the 450s in there. This 3rd hole isn't big enough. It's not gonna like fit a 3rd one. So you could probably fit a 255 in there if needed. But what I did was I took the 3rd fitting and then I just ran a hose to the bottom just for the return. There wasn't a hose on there at all, so it would have just been splashing onto the top of the fuel. So this will actually run the fuel back into the tank and hopefully avoid some aeration and bubbles. I re-thread taped the fittings because it has NPT fittings on it, so I used some of the blue E85 alcohol compatible thread tape on there. The black one is the return, the 2 blues are going to be the feed. And then I just took the 2 spare wires and then looped them together and heat shrinked them just so they're kind of out of the way and easy to identify. And then I made sure that I put just one little band of heat shrink on there so I know that this bundle is one pump, this bundle's the other one. So before this actually had a 6-pin weather pack connector on it. I just cut that off. 2 of the pins were pulled out of it. One of the pins was like pulled halfway out and wouldn't seat all the way. So I just cut that whole connector off. I also do have the Deca 80s that were in the car, and these will be for sale if anybody is interested in these or wants these. Let me know. I could probably have Hunter flow test them or something, just make sure they're all good. And sell these things since we put the new Hunter tuned injectors in there. I did test them on a battery. Both circuits work. Good thing I tested it because, like I said, the plugs are actually wrong inside underneath. So maybe that's why one was only hooked up when it came in, because somebody was troubleshooting at some point and the other pump wasn't working or whatever because it wasn't hooked up. So hard to say whatever someone did. But as I mentioned in a previous video, I pulled the learn table off the Terminator X and it was pegged at like 50%. So like 8 to 10 pound range. It was maxed out on correction at 50%. So it was really lean. The owner said that it was pretty lean. We'll say that. With that information, I do want to bore scope the motor and make sure that I check the pistons. And I won't be surprised if there's something hurt in there. It compression tested fine, but in the Ranger, I have videos of doing compression tests with broken pistons in there, and I had broken 5 and 7. 5 read good for compression, even though the top was blown off of it, and 7 had low compression. So compression can still be good with a bad piston. So I could do a leak down, but I think I'm just going to bore scope the cylinders. So I'm going to start getting that stuff mocked up. I'll get the hat back in and kind of get the tank leveled up a little bit, and I might try to clean it out. There's like a ton of junk in there and leaves and crap. So honestly, a lot of that stuff isn't really exciting. I might not film any of it, and I'll just do an overview of what it looks like when it's done, since you kind of got an idea of how I want to do it now. So I think I'll end the video here. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful fuel system.